Now, just setting up the camera. Welcome back, everybody. This is the way we set up a tap. A really nice tap, to be fair. Now, unboxing this, what you need to do is put that little silver disc with the rubber underneath on before you screw it into the main tap body. And you only screw these in hand tight. That's really important. Manufacturer's instructions, of course. And just give them a good squeeze at the end so that they're set home. Obviously I'm struggling, well not really, but I'm just making sure that I don't cross the threads or do anything daft up in the tap head, because if you do that then things are going to get really expensive. But you see the way I grip that? And then I'm going hot is red and cold is gold. That's important too, because those two braided lengths of tube or piping or whatever you want to call them, they're color coded, so when you're underneath the sink trying to hook them up, it just gets a little easier. Move the kettle out of the way, drop the two flexi hoses in. Now you'll notice here I'm fiddling around with the rubber on the disc to make sure that the rubber is in place properly. Then I drop one hose through, the first one, and then the next one will pop in. If you try and put both of them in together, they clash, they won't go in the hole. It's one of those things. Anyhow, there we are. Sit the tap there. And the most important part of this exercise now at the moment is actually to make sure that the little rubber O-ring at the base is sitting on the ceramic, because otherwise when you tighten it up, if you don't get that right and the O-ring isn't in place, what will happen is the water will then leak underneath into the bottom part of the sink, and people will think, oh, there's a leak, whereas no, there isn't. It's just where water is sloshing in, where metal is touching ceramic, and that's never a seal. So just keep your eyes open for that one. Uno buona idea. Here I've forgotten to put the threaded bar in, which I'm now doing after having placed the camera underneath the sink. And there we go. Magical threaded bar appears. And from this, you'll need to start collecting all the other parts. You can hear them go tink. Now this exercise is a little bit sort of, you can't really see everything. It's a bit of a kind of get it right in your hand. Does that sound good? I'm not sure it does. But this is basically where you put everything together by touch underneath the sink, and you get that little plastic plate there, which is hardened plastic, to be fair. It's good quality. And then you have to push this half crescent moon item in place with a rubber. And all that goes up into the tap seat as such. And then you put this tiny little bolt in. Well, it's a nut actually. And it goes onto the threaded rod. And then you wind that up right to the top. And it holds your crescent moon brass piece against a crescent moon rubber piece. And then that ties up to the tap in place. However, at the moment, we've got a barking dog and somebody at the door, so I'll go and answer that and then I'll probably return. But this kind of gives you a view of what I'm trying to do. Now this piece here, as you can probably hear rather than see, I should have had more light of course, but I forget that stuff. Apologies. I'm just kind of tightening it up by hand as much as I can before I have to go onto this tubular wrench, which I have, and it's called a tap wrench or a basin wrench, and you can get a set of these for about 10 quid off Amazon. Really, really cheap. Saves a lot of mucking about. And I've actually put light in. Oh my god. And then what you have to do is thread up this this particular piece. Tighten it up by hand, get it over that nut, and then you can get a, well, let's not jump the gun here. There's a good bit of tightening up to do. Now just think, I'm on my knees at this point and bending forward, so it's really good sort of exercise for your abs. I'm pretty sure if I didn't eat so much, I'd have like a six-pack at this stage. So anyway, getting the wrench back up in place and putting an Allen key through it to see if I can just, what I want to do is give that a bit of extra pressure. I'm obviously getting a bit annoyed there, but I can't actually see this where I'm looking because the double bowl sink is in the way. So it's all kind of like guesswork. But I've tightened it up. Now I'm going to measure the hoses back to the actual inlet feeds, the hot and the cold. Shut this camera off. High hand. Doing great. Cut a piece of copper. Even though I'm going on to plastic, it doesn't matter because the plastic push fit here in the UK, speed fit, allows you to put copper straight in to the speed fit connections. As you can see, I've tightened those up now. That's where they go. So I'm just going to unclip the, obviously hot on hot and cold on cold. So the T-point there with the third valve at the end of the other two valves is another feed for the dishwasher. So I know that the bottom line is actually the cold feed and the top line is the hot feed. And if you remember, I was telling you earlier to make sure that you put your hot and cold into the proper side of the tap, and then your flexi is going to be marked with a red stripe for hot and a blue stripe for cold. That makes it really easy when you're trying to do your final connection underneath the sink, otherwise you're left guessing. Now I'm just doing a tighten up here. These are flexi hoses with a rubber seal at the end, which basically means that they don't need to be, squeezed really, really tight. And this is my favorite bit of the video, I think, because I actually got a surprise. So I'm taking that out of the clip, and that's fine. And I've undone the speed fit. And I'll just pop that out. That's good. There's always going to be a little bit of water there, but I never really worry about a little bit of water. I'm just like, okay, that's fine. So I've got that all sorted. And next thing, you can hear that. That was basically me taking a shock from 240 volts, but because I was insulated with my boots and the pump pliers I have, which have rubber grips on them, it basically threw the switch and gave, it didn't even give me a jolt. To be fair, the RCD board worked brilliantly, and I'm actually not on the floor here dying. I'm back in, and I'm going like, what the hell was that? Right, fine. Let's get it all back together. These are just push fit joints, so they're really easy. Push them in with the copper, bang, tighten them up, they're done. And then obviously I've taken the waste apart a little bit because that was in the way to getting at everything, because it's right at the back of the sink, so it's always going to be that little bit awkward. So make sure you put all that back together properly with the seals, and you'll find that when you run the tap, you're not flooding the kitchen. Now I obviously have no idea why that sparked or the current jumped. I presume it was something to do with the small amounts of water that came out of the pipe when it obviously found a wire, or maybe a wire with a nick in it or something like that, but it didn't burn everything else. So I told the owner, and they're going to have an electrician look into it. However, the main thing is I'm okay, but it was kind of exciting as well. Just going to open all the valves, make sure everything's fine. There we go, open, and then check all that pipe work underneath the sink, that it's reconnected and correct. That's really important, otherwise, like I say, you'll find leaks. And then on with the tap. Beautiful tap. What a piece. It was an absolute delight installing it. I shall catch you all the next time. Like and subscribe. Thanks for viewing. And don't forget to stay safe, far, far away from COVID-19.